The genius son of a black cleaning lady solved a 100 million problem in seconds. But when he saw the CEO's reaction, he realized he had made the gravest error of his life. Jamal Carter, 19, never envisioned that delivering a pizza to the 20th floor of Innovatech Solutions would transform into the most degrading moment of his existence. As he lingered for his payment at the front desk, his gaze was locked on the massive screen where numerous engineers were frantically debating a defective algorithm that was costing the company millions daily. My goodness, they're employing the entirely incorrect data framework, he whispered, observing the code displayed on the wall. The receptionist, a blonde woman in stilettos, smirked dismissively. Sure, the pizza delivery kid understands advanced coding. What a farce. Jamal ignored the mockery but couldn't tear his eyes from the screen. The flaw was as clear to him as breathing. A straightforward restructuring of the binary tree and the use of distributed hashing would resolve everything in moments. Pardon me, he said, addressing the group of executives passing through the foyer. That algorithm there, you're using sequential search where you should employ hash indexing. That's why it's failing. The silence was profound. 12 men in suits stared at the young black man in a delivery outfit, as if he had spoken in an extraterrestrial tongue. Edward Sterling, the company's CEO, a 50-year-old man with impeccably styled silver hair, chuckled a low, harsh laugh. Kid, do you have any clue how many PhDs in computer science have been tackling this project for the past 6 months? Jamal felt warmth rise in his neck, but he kept his tone steady. I know you've lost 97 million so far, because the system fails every 200,000 concurrent request. Sterling's laughter faded abruptly. That precise figure was not public knowledge. And how on earth would you know that? Asked the Vice President of Technology, Dr. Thompson, approaching warily. Jamal took a deep breath. His mother, Lena Carter, had been cleaning these offices for 15 years. During early mornings while she worked, he studied in the vacant rooms, inadvertently absorbing technical discussions and papers left on desks. But disclosing that would shame his mother further. Just observation, he answered simply. Sterling folded his arms, a malicious grin forming. All right, young prodigy. If you're so clever, prove it. Fix our issue. The challenge reverberated through the foyer like a verdict. All eyes turned to Jamal, some amused, others clearly anticipating a spectacular failure. What they didn't know was that this young pizza delivery boy had been admitted to Stanford at 16 but declined the scholarship to care for his diabetic mother. Jamal glanced at the screen, then at the expectant faces around him. Something sparked in his eyes. Not fear, but a quiet resolve that made some present realize. They might have gravely misjudged the person before them. All right, he said, pulling a worn smartphone from his pocket. But when I resolve this, I want you all to recall that you judged a book by its cover. If this tale of bias and triumph stirred your heart, don't forget to follow the channel to learn how a simple moment of degradation would spark a revolution no one would ever forget. Dr. Thompson laughed loudly, a sound that echoed through the foyer like shattering glass. This will be better than a sitcom. Someone summoned security to record when he crashes spectacularly. Jamal watched as a small crowd gathered around the screen. Employees emerged from every floor, murmuring and pointing at the pizza. Delivery kid who dared challenge decades of engineering expertise. 15 minutes, Sterling declared, checking his gold Rolex. If you can't improve our performance by 10%, I want you out and never to return. And take your mother with you. Jamal's blood chilled. How did Sterling know about his mother? Oh, yes, the CEO continued with a venomous smile. Lena Carter, our night janitor for 15 years. Dedicated woman, but perhaps it's time for forced retirement, especially if she learns she raised a deceitful son. The humiliation seared Jamal's chest like acid. His mother had sacrificed everything, sleep, health, dreams, so he could study. She worked 3 jobs after his father abandoned them, cleaning offices until dawn while Jamal studied in the dim corners of corporate buildings. Problem, kid? Sterling asked, noticing the tension on Jamal's face. Still want to play coder? Jamal took a deep breath, recalling his mother's words. Son, when they try to shame you, it's because they fear your potential. Start the timer, Jamal said, approaching the terminal. The blonde receptionist, Emily, per her badge, recorded everything on her phone. This will go viral, she whispered to a coworker. Influencer doing a tech stunt. Jamal ignored the remarks and focused on the screen. The system was more intricate than he'd imagined. Layers of poorly optimized code, like a house built without a foundation. But his sharp eyes, honed by nights, studying in libraries and free online tutorials, spotted the pattern instantly. As he typed, he recalled every time he'd been underestimated, at school, where teachers saw him as another lost cause from the outskirts. At the Stanford exam, where the interviewer doubted his place, in his choice to forego the scholarship, when everyone said he was squandering his only escape from poverty. 10 minutes, Sterling announced, clearly expecting a colossal failure. Dr. Thompson approached, observing Jamal's code. His smug expression wavered. Wait, that's not possible. Jamal had restructured the data architecture in under 8 minutes. Where there were 300 lines of convoluted code, there were now 47 sleek, efficient lines. What did you do? Asked a curly-haired engineer, genuinely intrigued. I treated the system like a family budget, Jamal replied, eyes fixed on the screen. When you have little, you learn to maximize. I eliminated the unnecessary and organized the essentials. Sterling approached, his grin fading. That's impossible. Our top minds worked on this for 6 months. Maybe the issue wasn't the minds, Jamal said calmly, but the perspectives. When you've never stretched $1 for a week, it's hard to grasp true efficiency. The tension was tangible. Employees exchanged uneasy glances, sensing something extraordinary unfolding. 5 minutes, Sterling muttered, his voice losing confidence. Jamal completed the final lines and stepped back. Done. Test. Dr. Thompson hesitated, then ran the simulation. The screen flashed, numbers cascaded, then silence. The system processed 200,000 concurrent requests in 3 seconds. No crashes, no errors. That's impossible, someone whispered. Jamal looked at Sterling. 97% performance boost, 90% reduction in processing time. Server costs should have monthly. The foyer was silent. Emily stopped recording, mouth agape. Even the smug receptionist seemed speechless. Sterling clenched his fists, face red with fury and shame. That was luck, a fluke. You copied it somewhere. I can redo it from scratch, Jamal offered calmly. Or explain every line to your team. Maybe teach system optimization. That's when Sterling made his gravest error. Losing composure, he shouted. I won't be shamed by a black pizza delivery kid. Security, remove this nobody. The silence was deafening. Dozens of phones captured those words. The prejudice Sterling had concealed for years erupted publicly. Jamal stood still, a faint smile on his lips. He'd achieved his goal. Not just solving the technical issue, but exposing the man, running the company. Interesting, Jamal said, grabbing his backpack. Because under state labor law, racial discrimination at work is a federal offense. And with 20 people filming, each word from Sterling dug his own grave deeper, while Jamal stood serene, having turned humiliation into the start of a complex game. Sterling's words lingered at Innovatech as Jamal left. 20 minutes later, he found his mother, Lena Carter, cooking dinner in their small 19-year apartment. She saw his face and knew something had happened. Tell me everything, she said, turning off the stove and sitting at the worn Formica table. Jamal recounted every detail, from spotting the code error to Sterling's racist outburst recorded by dozens. Lena listened quietly, her eyes brimming with pride and worry. My son, she said finally, do you realize what you've done? I've probably made the worst mistake of my life, Jamal sighed. I've exposed you, myself, and now, Lena cut in firmly, you've shown who you are. And if this man thinks he can ruin our family after 15 years of me, sweating to clean his messes, he doesn't know the Carters. She stood, retrieving a dusty shoebox from the closet. Inside were letters, documents, photos. Son, there are things about Innovatech you don't know. Things I've seen working nights. Jamal scanned. The papers, stunned. Fraudulent contracts. Emails about wrongful terminations. Photos of executives using drugs in company restrooms. Mom, you collected this? When you're invisible? Lena smiled sadly. People act as if you're not there. For 15 years, I saw and heard more than I should have. The next day, Jamal got an unexpected call. Hello, is this Jamal Carter? I'm Ethan Lee, an investigative reporter with Tech Truth News. I saw the viral video of your clash with Edward Sterling. Jamal hesitated. I'm not sure about interviews. It's not an interview, Ethan cut in. It's a collaboration proposal. I've been probing Innovatech's illegal labor practices for 2 years. I have sources confirming systematic discrimination, but I need stronger proof. They met at a quiet cafe downtown. Ethan, a middle-aged man with graying hair and sharp eyes, showed years of exposing corporate corruption. Jamal, that video was just the start, Ethan said, showing a folder of documents. Sterling has a history of firing black employees on false grounds, underpaying women for equal work, and using shady accounting to evade taxes. Jamal flipped through, recognizing names his mother mentioned over the years. What do you need from me? Inside access. Your mother worked there 15 years. You have remarkable technical skills, and Sterling made the error of publicly underestimating you. He'll try to bury the video scandal, but with more evidence, we can ruin him completely. Jamal finished, a determined glint in his eyes. At Innovatech, Sterling called an emergency meeting with legal and PR teams. The video hit 200,000 views in 24 hours. I want that kid and his mother gone by week's end, he raged, and find a way to discredit his solution. There's a flaw somewhere. Dr. Thompson, silent since the incident, spoke up. Edward, maybe we should offer the boy a role. He's talented, and it could help our image. Are you insane? Sterling exploded. I won't reward a cocky kid who shamed me publicly. Find a way to eliminate him or I'll find someone who can. Sterling didn't know Dr. Thompson had recorded the conversation on his phone. Years of watching Sterling's shady practices hit a breaking point when he saw real talent rejected due to bias. That night, Thompson called a number Ethan gave. Jamal. I have something you'll want to hear, he said simply. Over days, Jamal transformed. By day, he delivered pizzas, keeping up appearances. By night, he worked with Ethan and Thompson to document Innovatech's irregularities, a pattern of overpriced contracts for shell companies, minority employees overlooked for promotions, and Sterling selling insider product info to competitors. We have enough to ruin his career and bankrupt the company, Ethan said at a late-night meeting in Jamal's apartment. No, Jamal replied calmly, surprising them. We don't want to destroy the company. Good people work there, relying on those jobs. We want something precise. Lena smiled, recognizing the wisdom she'd instilled. The best revenge isn't sinking to their level, son. It's rising so high they feel small looking up. Jamal nodded, a plan forming. Sterling thinks I'm just an ignorant delivery kid. Let's use that arrogance against him. He turned to Ethan. You mentioned contacts on Innovatech's board. 3 members unhappy with Sterling's leadership. Why? Jamal smiled, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Because we'll offer an alternative they never expected. Sterling wants to shame me publicly. Perfect. We'll give him that chance. As they planned, none noticed a shadowy figure watching from the building opposite. Sterling had hired a private investigator to monitor the Carters. Sure, he'd find dirt. His paranoia was about to become his downfall. Every desperate move provided more evidence for the growing dossier against him. Jamal looked at his mother, Ethan, and Thompson. Ready to flip the tables completely? They nodded. In that humble kitchen where Lena raised a genius, a plan was born to transform their lives and redefine corporate justice. The boy Sterling tried to shame was about to become his worst nightmare. The twist would be as elegant as it was devastating. Innovatech's conference room had never seen such a meeting. Sterling summoned the board, local tech press, and major investors for what he called a display of leadership and corporate integrity. Gentlemen, Sterling declared, adjusting his designer tie, I've gathered you to see how we handle troublesome employees and defamation attempts. At the room's entrance, Jamal entered calmly, wearing his usual plain shirt. Sterling grinned like a predator sensing prey. Ah, our famous pizza prodigy arrives, Sterling announced. Record this because today you'll see a deceitful kid exposed. Jamal sat in the assigned chair, noting the strategically placed cameras. Perfect. Just as planned. Mr. Carter, Sterling began, pacing dramatically, you claimed a 97% system improvement. Our experts found it was sheer luck, an amateur trick. Dr. Thompson, at the room's back, exchanged a nervous glance with Jamal. The plan was unfolding perfectly. In fact, Sterling continued, we found you and your mother are part of a scheme to steal our intellectual property. We have proof she photographed. Confidential documents. during night cleanings. A shocked murmur spread. Jamal stayed still, but his eyes gleamed, making some uneasy. "That's a serious claim, Mr. Sterling," Jamal said calmly. "I hope you have evidence." "Of course," Sterling snapped, losing composure. "I hired a private investigator who documented everything, photos of your mother in restricted areas. You meeting suspicious people." Jamal nodded slowly. "Interesting. Did this investigator follow you too?" Sterling froze. "What's that supposed to mean?" Jamal pulled a tablet from his pocket, connecting it to the room's projector. "Well, your detective tailed me." Ethan Lee from Tech Truth News investigated something far more interesting. The screen showed Sterling exiting a lavish restaurant with a suited man dated 3 weeks prior. "This is Ivan Volkov, representative of Tech Trend Russia," Jamal explained to the silent room. "Innovatex direct rival. You discussed selling proprietary algorithms for $12 million. Sterling paled. "That's fake. A fabrication." Jamal clicked again. An audio played Sterling's voice. "The machine learning algorithm is worth $20 million on the black market. I can deliver the source code by month's end." "That's out of context!" Sterling shouted, voice losing authority. "Context?" Jamal smiled. "Let's add more." Slides showed forged contracts, emails about racially motivated firings, photos of executives using drugs in company restrooms, Lena's 15-year collection. "My God," an investor murmured. "Edward, is this true?" But Jamal wasn't done. The screen showed the full recording of his initial clash with Sterling, including the racist words cut from some leaked videos. "And now," Jamal said, voice strengthening, "the part that matters." The final presentation showed his algorithm's financial impact. In 2 weeks, it saved $143 million in costs and boosted system efficiency by 120%. All this, Jamal said, staring at Sterling, was created by a black pizza delivery kid using knowledge gained while my mother, a dignified woman who worked 15 years here, cleaned up your mistakes. The silence was profound. Sterling shook, sweat dripping. "You planned this?" "You trapped me." "No," Jamal replied calmly, shutting off the projector. "You trapped yourself. I just documented it." Ethan Lee entered with 2 federal agents. "Edward Sterling, you're under arrest for industrial espionage, workplace racial discrimination, and tax fraud." As Sterling was handcuffed, he shouted, "This is persecution! You can't do this to me. I built this company." Jamal stood, adjusted his shirt, and looked at the man who tried to ruin his family. "Mr. Sterling, the difference is simple. You used your position to oppress. I used my intelligence to protect." As Sterling was led away, a board member approached Jamal. "Mr. Carter, we'd like to discuss a proposal. We need a new CEO." Jamal smiled, thinking of his mother, likely cooking dinner in the apartment they'd soon leave behind. "I'll consider it, but first I have a pizza to deliver." The room erupted in nervous laughter, but all knew they'd witnessed something extraordinary. The boy Sterling tried to shame had orchestrated his downfall. Proving true justice comes, not from blind revenge, but from patient intelligence and courage to expose truth at the right moment. 6 months later, Jamal Carter walked Innovatex halls, no longer a pizza delivery boy, but the youngest CEO in its history. At 20, he led 200 employees and managed billion-dollar contracts. The irony was clear. The foyer where he was shamed now displayed his photo on the executive wall. Under his corporate slogan, "Excellence has no race, only outcomes." How does it feel to be called Silicon Valley's youngest, most innovative CEO? A Forbes reporter asked for a cover story. Jamal smiled, adjusting his unfamiliar tie. "Funny, 6 months ago, I was just the black pizza delivery kid." Titles change when you save a company from collapse. Innovatex's transformation was remarkable. Under Jamal's leadership, it recovered the $97 million loss and tripled its market value. His algorithm was licensed globally. Lena Carter, now retired with a generous pension, Jamal insured for all cleaning staff, watched proudly at her son's Executive of the Year award ceremony. "I never doubted him," she whispered to friends. "I knew he'd soar high. I didn't know he'd soar so high even. I couldn't reach him." Edward Sterling became a pariah. After 4 months in prison for espionage and discrimination, no tech firm would hire him. Former colleagues avoided him. His golf club revoked his membership. His ex-wife divorced him, taking half his assets. And he lived in a 1-bedroom suburban apartment, consulting for small firms unaware of his past. His fall was as brutal as it was public. Videos of his arrest circulated online, tagged with comments about karma and justice. Dr. Thompson, now Innovatic's vice president, often said at meetings, "I've never seen such a turnaround." Jamal turned shame into inspiration, and Sterling turned privilege into prison. At a diversity conference, Jamal was asked how he forgave those who tried to destroy him. "Forgive?" Jamal chuckled. "I didn't. I just used their energy more wisely. Sterling taught me the best. Revenge isn't sinking to their level but rising, so high they become irrelevant." Emily, the former smug receptionist who mocked him, now worked at a small accounting firm after being fired for poor customer service. Seeing Jamal in the news, she felt regret, recalling how she misjudged him. The conference room where it began was renovated into the Jamal Carter Innovation Center, dedicated to encouraging all employees to share ideas without fear. A gold plaque bore Jamal's words from his first CEO speech. "Genius ignored today is tomorrow's revolution." Jamal kept a simple routine. Every Friday, he delivered pizzas to city shelters. "To remember my roots," he explained. "And so others see it doesn't matter where you are today, but where you're headed." Ethan Lee, the reporter who helped expose the corruption, wrote a bestseller, From Delivery Boy to CEO, How Truth Toppled a Web of Lies. 2 years after his humiliation, Jamal spoke at Stanford, the university he'd declined for his mother. A student asked, "If you could go back, would you change anything?" Jamal paused, looking at the inspired audience. "Just one thing. I'd have delivered that pizza 5 minutes earlier," to see Sterling's shocked face longer when he realized he underestimated. "The wrong kid?" The audience roared with laughter and applause. Edward Sterling tried to crush a talented, young black man but built the legend of Jamal Carter. The former CEO learned the hard way that true revenge isn't evening the score for humiliation. It's achieving success so resounding that your oppressors spend their lives wondering how they were so blind. If this tale of triumph over adversity moved you, follow the channel for more true stories of people who turned injustice into fuel for extraordinary success.